Imagine you're a hunter living 40,000 years ago. You spot someone you like. You want to spend time with them. You want them to like you back. But there's a problem. There are no restaurants, no flowers, no dating apps, no private conversations, no bedrooms, and every person in your tribe has known both of you since birth. So, did ancient humans even have girlfriends? Or is love, dating, and romance just another modern invention? The answer is far stranger than you think. Because for most of human history, people fell in love without ever going on a date. And understanding how they did it might completely change the way you think about relationships today. For nearly 300,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers, small bands, usually between 20 and 50 people. There were no cities, no villages, no neighborhoods full of strangers. Everyone knew everyone. You didn't meet your future partner because someone swiped right. You met them because they had been around your entire life. Imagine growing up with the same 25 people. You watched each other learn to walk, learn to hunt, learn to survive. By adulthood, there were no mysterious strangers. Love didn't begin with introductions. It began with familiarity. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, which offer clues about ancient lifestyles, have found that young people often spent years simply observing one another before forming long-term relationships. There wasn't dating. There was life. Here's where it gets interesting. The word girlfriend is incredibly modern. Ancient humans didn't separate relationships into neat categories. They weren't asking, "So, what are we?" Instead, relationships slowly formed through shared survival. If two people consistently gathered food together, walked together, slept near each other, raised children together, the group simply understood they were partners. Love wasn't announced. It was demonstrated. There were no anniversary dinners. Instead, "I crossed a frozen river carrying meat so you wouldn't go hungry." That was romance. "I stayed awake all night while you recovered from an injury." That was commitment. Actions weren't love languages. They were love itself. Here's something surprising. Ancient humans probably cared about many of the same things we do today. Not Instagram followers, but competence. Could this person gather food? Would they share? Were they kind? Were they dependable? Could they stay calm when a lion appeared? Because choosing the wrong partner wasn't embarrassing. It could literally get you killed. In many hunter-gatherer societies, researchers have found that generosity often made people more attractive than physical strength alone. The best hunters weren't always the ones with the most food. They were the ones who shared it. Imagine that. Thousands of years before social media, kindness was already attractive. Some people imagine prehistoric relationships as purely practical. Find mate, have children, repeat. But biology tells a different story. Humans produce chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin that strengthen emotional bonds. These systems evolved long before cities, long before writing, and long before history books. Ancient humans almost certainly experienced jealousy, heartbreak, excitement, butterflies. The nervous feeling before talking to someone you liked is probably tens of thousands of years old. Love didn't begin with poetry. Poetry began because love already existed. Now comes the controversial question. Did ancient humans have one partner or many? The honest answer, probably both. Different groups likely had different customs. Some were mostly monogamous. Others allowed multiple partners. Some marriages were lifelong. Others ended. Human societies have always been incredibly diverse. There's no single prehistoric relationship model. But one thing remained remarkably consistent. Children required years of care, far longer than almost any other animal. That meant cooperation mattered, whether through two parents, extended family, or the whole tribe. Raising children was everyone's responsibility. It wasn't just my child. Forget candlelight dinners. Imagine this instead. Someone saves the sweetest berries they've found all day and quietly gives them to you. Someone repairs your spear before sunrise without asking. Someone walks beside you during a dangerous migration instead of taking the easier path. Those tiny acts probably meant everything. Romance wasn't expensive. It was effort. Maybe that's why anthropologists often observe that hunter-gatherer societies place enormous value on sharing, cooperation, and daily acts of care. Not because they're sentimental, because survival depends on them. Here's the strange part. Today, finding someone has never been easier. Billions of people, millions of profiles, infinite choices. And yet, loneliness has become one of the defining problems of modern life. Ancient humans had almost none of our technology, yet they rarely faced the kind of social isolation many people experience today. Maybe the biggest difference isn't how we find love, it's how we define it. We've turned love into grand gestures, perfect dates, and carefully crafted messages. But for nearly 300,000 years, love looked much simpler. It looked like showing up, sharing food, protecting each other, staying together when life became difficult. Maybe your prehistoric ancestor never said, "I love you." Maybe they simply handed their partner the warmest animal skin, saved them the last piece of roasted meat, and sat beside them while the fire slowly burned into the night. No rings, no Valentine's Day, no dating apps. Just two humans trying to survive together and accidentally creating one of the most powerful emotions evolution ever produced. Because in the end, the first girlfriend wasn't defined by a label. She was simply the person who chose to walk beside you when the entire world was still wild.